This video will teach you about the sine and cosine component angle formulas. And let's first focus on the sine component angle formula. And this is it, which is sine of A plus B is equal to sine A times cosine of B plus or minus cosine of A times sine of B. So for example, if you have sine of like pi over 4 plus pi over 6, that's equal to sine pi over 4, because pi over 4 is A, it's in the first spot, times cosine pi over 6, because that's B, it's in the second spot. And here you do plus, because the symbol in between those two numbers is plus. If it was subtraction, then this would be subtract. And then cosine pi over 4 and sine pi over 6. And this is how you use the sine component angle formula. And the reason this formula is useful is when we have something like this, where we need to find the sine of something like 5 pi over 12, and this value is not on the unit circle, so we can't memorize it, but we can simplify this to sine of pi over 4 plus pi over 6. This is because pi over 4 is 3 pi over 12, and pi over 6 is 2 pi over 12. And since both of these values on your unit circle, you can simplify this very easily. So we can say this is equal to sine pi over 4 times cosine pi over 6 plus cosine pi over 4 times sine pi over 6. And then we already know all the values in here. So we can say this is equal to square root of 2 over 2 times square root of 3 over 2 plus square root of 2 over 2 times 1/2. And now this is just basic math. So this is equal to square root of 6 over 4 plus square root of 2 over 4. And this is equal to square root of 6 plus square root of 2 over 4. And this is our answer. Now let's talk about the cosine compound angle formula. This one is also very similar to the sine compound angle formula, but it's just a little bit different. And it goes like this. Cosine of A plus or minus B is equal to cosine of A times cosine of B minus or plus. And the reason I write it like this is because if you have A plus B, then here you would do all of this minus whatever comes next. But if you had A minus B in the original expression, then you would do all of this plus whatever comes next. And the thing that comes next is sine A times sine B. So for example, if we had cosine pi over 2 plus pi over 6, this would be equal to cosine pi over 2 cosine pi over 6 minus, because this is plus, so you flip the sign, sine pi over 2 times sine pi over 6. It's pretty simple. And the reason that is useful is because if we have an expression like this, similar to the sine compound angle formula, we can split this up into two different ones that are actually on the inner circle. So 11 pi over 2 is not in the inner circle, and we don't know what that is equal to, but we can turn it into cosine of 3 pi over 4 plus pi over 6. And this makes it much easier because 3 pi over 4 and pi over 6 are both on the inner circle, and they're values that we all memorize. And we can plug these values into the formula, which is cosine 3 pi over 4 times cosine pi over 6 minus, because this is addition, so we reverse it, sine 3 pi over 4 times sine pi over 6. And look, we know all these values, so let's just figure them out. And this is cosine 3 pi over 4, which is negative square root of 2 over 2, times cosine pi over 6, which is square root of 3 over 2, minus sine 3 pi over 4, which is negative square root of 2 over 2, regular square root of 2 over 2, times sine pi over 6, which is 1/2. And this is equal to negative square root of 6 over 4 minus square root of 2 over 4. And this is equal to negative square root of 6 minus square root of 2 over 4. And this is our answer. Now, let's start with one practice problem. If you know how to do this one, then pause the video and try it. But the first thing I noticed about this expression is that it's written in the format of a cosine component angle formula. But you may be wondering, how do we simplify it? Because each expression, each like individual cosine function or sine function has two variables inside of it. But what we can do is set x plus y to a variable called m, and x minus y to a variable called n. This means this is m, and this is n. So, we can notice that m is going to be a, and n is going to be b, because the formula, the original formula for the cosine component angle formula is cosine of a times cosine of b plus sine of a times sine of b, or minus. In this case, it's subtraction. So we can notice that we just plug in a, which is going to be x plus y, minus this, or actually it should be plus this, because this sign here is subtraction, which means the one in the simplified version is going to be reversed, plus x minus y. And this is equal to cosine of 2x and 0y. So cosine of 2x. Now let's start with another practice problem. If you think you can do this one, then pause the video and do it. But this video is asking you to simplify this one, or rather expand it, because I guess it's more complex. But we can notice that this is in the format of sine a plus b, where theta is a and pi over 3 is b. So we can make this into the sine compound angle formula, and it's equal to sine theta times sine, or cosine, pi over 3, plus cosine theta times sine pi over 3. And we can't figure out what sine theta or what cosine theta is, because, well, we don't know what theta is, but we know what cosine of pi over 3 is and what sine pi over 3 is. So this is equal to sine theta cosine pi over 3 is 1/2, plus cosine theta sine pi over 3 is just square root of 3 over 2. And this is equal to sine theta 2 plus square root of 3 cosine theta. All of this is over 2. And this is our final answer. We can't really simplify it further. And I guess this isn't really simplifying, it's rather expanding this into the formula. But this is the final answer. So everything that I just explained in this video and all the problems I did should teach you everything that I need to know to understand the sine and cosine compound angle formulas. There's also a compound angle formula for tangent, which we will go over in the future. But for now, these two formulas are really all you need to know. And if you learned something from this video, then please consider liking or subscribing. And if you still don't understand this concept, then please consider replaying the video or just studying on your own or doing more practice problems. As this is a really simple concept to understand, but doing more practice will help you understand it further.